Hi there, everyone, and welcome to this webinar. My name is Neil O'Driscoll, and I'm joined here by my colleague, Sarah O'Neill.
Hi there.
And together we'll take you through the features and functionality of Submit.com version 2. This will apply to you whether you've recently upgraded to V2 or whether you're considering an upgrade shortly. There's lots of help docs, short videos available, but we'll try and have a slightly more deeper look into various different aspects of V2 today. Rest assured, V2 does exactly what V2 did. All the functionality you're used to is there. There's a more modernized look and feel which will become a lot more intuitive once you get used to it. Myself and Sarah have been using this for nearly a year now, and very, very quickly you'll wonder how you ever managed on V1, to be honest. There's also some new features which we'll go through today. Look, we've structured this webinar into, I think it's 6 sections, and we'll bookmark these so that you can come back to them with the timestamps for the webinar. Firstly, Sarah will demonstrate the candidate view, which very little has changed there, and do a kind of an overview into the main navigation of the platform. I'll then go into the upgraded permissions and things for your team. And there's quite a bit of new functionality there that will be particularly useful for people with large teams that they need to manage. Sarah will then go into form building and tweaks to form building, the different layouts and other bits of slightly new functionality that are available in form building. She'll touch on tables and how it's easier to build tables, and kind of show you how it's much easier to look at an application while managing it. I'll then go through what we call the Smart Builder. Not all of you will have used this, but it's particularly useful for, say, where you might previously have used a mail merge to generate, we'll say, a contract or a letter of offer. This can all be automated from Submit.com now. And so for some of you watching, this will be a game changer as regards efficiency. Sarah will then go through application management features. I'm kind of doubling up on what I said before, but I'm sure Sarah will straighten this out when it gets started. And finally, I'll wrap up with a look at the reporting tools. There's a few nice new features in reporting. And hopefully by the end of the webinar, you will be a power user of Submit.com V2, and it will improve your efficiencies and improve what you can do with the platform.
This is the overview, or this is the new version 2 as a candidate. So you can see there's not an awful lot has changed for the candidate view, but you can see I can scroll down, you can view all of the forms, and we're going to focus on grant forms today. So you can see the view is still the same. You can click through the application forms themselves. Your description section, your eligibility criteria will all be familiar to what your candidates are used to seeing on Submit.com. Now, there has been slight changes, I suppose, Neil, to how the candidates interact with the application form itself. So I'm going to go ahead and click Get Started, and I'm going to agree to my privacy statement section here. So I suppose we've majorly cleaned up the question view. We've moved the question modal from being on the right-hand side of the screen to the left. We've also added this information icon up here on the top right so that the candidates can actually go back, look at the description section, to find out more about what the application form is focusing on while they fill in their questions. And it's really easy to save and quit, submit their application from here, save their progress, etc. if they like. We've made it a lot clearer which questions are required. So you can see here, we can add our group names, and then we can use either the Control and Enter key to move to the next question or hit Next at the top of the screen here. I'll move through a couple of the different questions just to show how they work. So I'm going to type in an error code just so that we can pop a mark on the map. And you can see if the customer or if your candidate wants to drop a pin on a specific location, they can actually click on the area that they want to specify for their location. So if they were running a festival, for example, and it was going to be in this field, for example, they don't have to give a specific address for the field. They can note the location, which is really nice. And it also now provides longitude and latitude points, which can be included in your exports.
One thing particularly for local authorities, if you're mapping items into ArcGIS or another system, those X and Y coordinates, the latitude and longitude, can be exported as a CSV, open in Excel and imported into another system.
Exactly. That can be got from the reporting section. I'm just going to scroll down and you can see these are the tables. You can, when the candidates are filling in the tables, they can actually expand the text-based cells if they wish, if they need a bit more space to type in. And you can see here, I've already set a formula to run here. So you can see my calculations will automatically add up while we're going. I can see my Grammarly extension is switched on. So that's adding into the cells for me, which is nice. The look and feel and the usability of the uploads as well has been greatly improved. So we've actually made it easier for the candidates to do their uploads. So you can see they can now just use this choose file button. So before, you might remember we had the little computer icon. So again, just making things easier for the candidates, spelling things out for them, making it really easy for them to find what are the accepted file types, what is the minimum and maximum that they need to have, how many file types that they need to submit. So things like that made it a lot easier. And you can see if I go to the very end here and try and submit my application, it tells me exactly which required questions that I haven't answered yet. And I can click OK, and it's going to take me straight back to that question, the first question from the list that I need to complete. So I'm actually going to save and quit my application and save it as a draft. So you can see major update to the dashboard itself. We've made it a lot easier for you to find what's most up to date on your platform. So you can see here, you'll have different tiles for your forms, your application report, your registered users and your team. You can see the latest applications that you've received, any upcoming deadlines, latest registrations and latest forms. So you can be informed of what's new, what's the most up to date item that you need to deal with. You can see the side navigation bar as well over here on the left has been updated. So when you hover over it, it will pop out the different menu items so that you can navigate through them. And we've also added this nice little feature here, which I absolutely love, which is the night mode option. So usually when I'm using the system myself, I do change it into night mode, but for the presentation, we'll keep it in day mode for you. And you have quick access here to your notifications, your messages, and your account up here from the top right. We also have included a direct link to the Help Center as well. So if you want to access any of our help guides or engage with our chat as well, it's all available here in Help Center. So I think that's a quick overview of the initial navigation. Have I missed anything?
No, I think that covers it enough, Sarah, because I'm sure people are keen to jump into the admin side of things. One thing I would stress, though, is that if you upgrade from V1 to V2, even if a candidate is midstream and has a draft saved on their application, they can seamlessly continue it on V2.
Yes.
And there is minimal difference. Yeah, the navigation pane has moved from the right-hand side of their application to the left, which is more intuitive and more natural anyway. Mm-hmm. But other than that, it's just, they probably won't even notice that it's been an upgrade. So no fears on the front. We've been doing this for a year and no candidate has yet complained.
And if anything, it's easier for the candidates. There's a lot less guessing work and things like that. So user experience is something we've really focused on.
Right, I'll navigate to my dashboard in the same way as you did. And I'm going to go to the team section on the left, same place as it was previously. Just as you always had, you have team leaders, team members, you may be using external reviewers, and you have your applicants or your users. Team leaders are unchanged. They have full create, edit, and delete access to all forms and all applications. Okay, so they're the administrators of your account. Team members is where the biggest change is. First thing we've done is given you more granular control over a particular set over each team member. I'm not going to go through all of these, but I'm going to go through the permissions for Tara Murphy. And and very slowly scroll through them. It's broadly divided into what the user can do to forms, create, editing, and deleting forms or various parts of forms, what they can do to applications. Okay. And some of you that are au fait with the old permissions will see at a glance that there's a lot more you can restrict or allow in here. And there's what they can do to other accounts on the system and what they can do on a site level. So that's great that you've more granular control. But to make it easier to apply all of these permissions to your team, we've introduced something called permission profiles. Okay, and this will be a game changer for people managing large teams. And because you can basically create a set of permissions and with one click apply that set of permissions to any staff member. So on this example, I have made a senior staff member, a junior staff member, and a front desk. Okay, and within each of those, you can make a new one, just make a test one. I can put in a description if I want, click create, and I can then go through and decide what permissions I want on that test profile. So I can go through it one by one, set it up once, and then apply that to any of my colleagues.
That's good. So you can kind of create like custom roles.
Like, yeah, you're no longer restricted to team leader,
team member,
and external reviewer. You can go team leader, team member, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, the nth degree if you want. Exactly.
And you can give a team member nearly as many permissions as a team leader. Yes. Almost using the permission
You can go right up to a team leader with one exception, and I don't think there's a setting that can automatically add them to every form.
Yeah,
they need to be added to the forms. But so okay, I'm going to go back to my team members here, and I'm going to apply the senior staff member to Tara Murphy. Okay, if I look at the permissions on that senior staff member. Go edit. One thing for the eagle-eyed amongst you is that as well as a black and white yes, no, can you create a form? It's just a yes, no. The odd permission has a sometimes on it, which sounds very fuzzy, but what it is that if in this example, editing a form is this, if I apply this profile to a team member, they will not be able to edit a form unless I give that explicit permission for a particular form. So it allows you to make exceptions. You might be running 20 forms on your platform, and as a rule, you don't want all of your team members being able to change questions on it, but you want to make one exception. You can do that now, whereas you couldn't before. So if I go back to Tara Murphy, senior staff, I can go to manage account. So I said sometimes to edit form, which means she can't edit a form unless I give her permission for that form. So I go permissions, forms, and she's added to 2 forms. I can choose my permissions for community grant phase 1, and I can say, yes, she can edit this form. The reason that I can do it on that level is because it's a sometimes on the account level. And I think that's pretty much the changes on permissions. I say one comment to all of you: if you're after being upgraded, just review the permissions of your existing users, because we've become more granular. It means that there are some permissions available now that weren't previously, and we will be conservative in any upgrades. So you may have one of your staff members not being able to do a part of a job that they were previously able to do. So check that once you're upgraded.
Again, I'm back out at the home page, and I'm just going to go back to our dashboard. And you can see if I go to the form, I can either go to the forms panel here, or I can go to folders. I can go to forms here on the left. And you can see, again, creating a form is really easy. We've added this create form button here where you can add your new forms to the platform. You can add your title. So you can see, same as previously, you can enter your title for your new form, and you can still choose an existing form as template. So if you've already gone to the trouble of building all of your grant forms, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just use one as a copy, which I love. So Instead of going in to create a new one and cluttering up Neil's lovely demo platform, I'm going to take you straight to the edit. So first thing I want to point out is we've changed the forms to have this lovely tile view. So instead of kind of having all of your description section available here, you can see your form straight away. You can see who's available. So it's got little initials of everybody. If you have a budget set and you're grant tracking, the budget will be available here. And you can see all of your different phases will be listed as well. You'll have 3 quick links to your edit, your share link, and your group message, which you can access from here. But if you want to go into options here, you can also get your edit, share, group message, apply as candidate, apply on behalf, and download printable form. We also have our archives and our delete buttons here as well. Again, like I always say, archive something, err on the side of caution and archive rather than delete. So you can see these are all here. Archives can always be brought back, which is a good thing. First thing I want to show is the share button. So this is where as soon as you create a form, the system will automatically generate a QR code for you and a short URL. The existing links that you would have had on version 1 will be ported over to V2. So the existing links that you have out available will still remain the same. And you can see here, I'm actually just going to pop in and edit this form. So you can see we've moved to this nice kind of tabulated view almost. So your overview section will be here. Everything that the candidate needs to know in advance of applying really goes into this overview section. So you can see your title, your phase name, your designated contact. So it's really good if you have a big team, you can kind of designate a point of contact for your form. This never becomes available to the candidates. This is only internal use. So you can just see at a glance, Tara is the main point of contact. You can set your deadlines from here. So I'm going to switch this on and you can see it will preset to a month from today. If you've got existing deadlines set, again, they will also continue over, but you can see we've changed the date picker a little bit so it's a little bit easier to use. So I'll just save this date and scroll down and you can see all of the descriptions and everything. They're all click to edit fields. You can fully format everything. So just so that you know, those are all there. And the buttons that I pointed out as well in your options page to share group message, apply as candidate, apply on behalf, actually persist through your form. So even when you're adding your overview section, even when you're editing your questions, you can always come back down. You can test the form as if you were a candidate. You can apply on behalf of someone. You can send a group message. So we've kept these available at all times just to make things easier for you. They're like little quick links. You can see this is the new form builder. So we've made some changes to the look and feel of this section as well. But essentially building the forms more or less is staying the same. So you'll scroll to the very bottom of your list. You can choose your question type. So we'll choose yes, no question. You can save your question and it automatically gets added to your list. Again, if you need to change order, you can have this little change order button at the top and you can click and drag the question to its new position. So exactly the same as the previous version, but again, a lot easier to use. Editing your questions as well has been made, has been improved. So instead of the little cogwheel that you have to find on the old version, you can click the edit button here. It will take you in. You can make amendments to your text. You can update your descriptions. You can update all your different question settings as well. And you can also add attachments to your individual questions if you need to.
And I just brought in there as well on those settings for questions. We won't go into the detail of them now, but there's a few extra little settings that have been added to V2 that aren't available on V1. One example would be in an upload question.
Yes.
In V1, you can specify the maximum number of uploads. On V2, you can specify the minimum and maximum number of uploads. So V2, any new features will be added to V2. We will be maintaining V1 for another while, but all new development will be happening on V2 from here on.
Yes, and if you have any feature requests as well, send them our way. So, tables then, there's been a major update to the tables. So you can see here I have this projected costs table, so I'll open this up. It's a nice, easy one to use. So editing them is still the same. So you can see here, you can click on the different cells and update them. We've, again, made usability updates to this as well. But you can see we can now bulk edit new cells very easily. So I'm actually just going to add a new set of rows to the end of the form. So I'm going to add 5 extra rows and save it. And we can now bulk edit the cells. But previously, you could bulk edit a cell to become either a user input text or a user input number. But now we've changed it so that you can bulk edit to any type. So I'm going to use my control key and click these 4 cells that I want to update. I'm going to click on the last cell, and then I'm going to choose my cell type. So you can see I can input display text. So if I'm going to be using the same display text for the entire row, I can set it all to display text. I can change these all to user input. I can copy an existing cell that I've already built. So if I've built a really complicated, multiple choice question cell or something like that, and I don't want to build it all over again, I can copy that. I can also change cells back to blank as well if I need to, but I'm actually just going to use user input here, and I'm going to choose my cell type. So you can see these are all the different cell types that we now have. We've text, number, yes, no, multiple choice, date, and time and date available. I don't think time and date was available on V1. I think this is specific to V2. Could be wrong.
Don't think so. Yeah, I'm still smiling from you talking about copying in multiple choice questions, and I'm sure some people watching this that will resonate.
Yes.
If you've ever built a very long table with a column full of cells and 20 options in each one, having to do that individually was an awful pain. So
yes.
yeah, those people will know what Sarah is talking about on that feature.
So you can see here, I can use a multiple choice. Again, I can set this to be required, and I can add all of my options at the same time. So I'm just going to be really simple and do option 1, option 2, and save it. And once I hit save, it's going to pull that list that I've created, or that multiple choice question, into all of these cells. We've also made improvements to the formula as well. So I'm actually going to update these additional cells all to user input and change them all to number and save it. And if I wanted to have a formula where I add up all of these cells at the same time, if I click my last cell here and change this to formula, you'll see we've actually added these new buttons here. So we've got sum, average, median, and standard deviation. So if instead of going through and clicking internal cell B2 or plus internal cell B3 and so on and so forth, I can actually take all of this out. So we're going to clear this. We're going to use sum. We're going to use projected costs, and I'm going to select all of the cells that I want to use for my formula. And again, this will only work for number cells. I'm going to save it. And that has now automatically generated my formula. So if you don't want a whole row of 40 cells to automatically calculate, you can use that sum, average, standard deviation, or median to get that calculation, which is really nice.
And you might have noticed there when Sarah clicked in, you can click there again, Sarah, and just clear that and click on sum. It goes through the same path that, the list of questions there. Just I'll delve deeper into this in the next section, but you can pull data from not just this phase. Notice the drop down at the top that says application, or acceptance, or claim. So we can now pull data from one phase to the next, which will be a game changer for a lot of you, which I'll go through in more depth in the next section.
Exactly. So if you had a calculation happening in your claim phase, you can pull information from phase 1 into the claim phase so that the candidates don't have to fill it in again. But yeah, I'll leave it to Neil to go through that in more detail. So yeah, it's a quick overview on our table builder. If you have any questions at all on this as well, let us know. As well, I just wanted to point out one extra thing for the settings for your forms as well. So you might be familiar with the email templates and things like that. So we've just done a little rejig of where email templates live. So they're now in this little settings section. So you'll have your general settings, you'll have your email templates, you'll have your score bars, you'll have your pre and post apply pop-ups. Again, everything that you've built already on version 1 will be pulled through into this, but just if you're looking for them, email templates and score bars, etc., are now under the settings tab here.
I'm going to go again to my dashboard. And I suppose, firstly, I'll go back to where Sarah was effectively to take this back to the beginning of the Smart Builder, editing my application phase on this community grant. So everywhere you see a magic wand, like I edit any question I want to edit, I'll see the Smart Builder icon. Okay, anywhere you see that, it means you can pull data in from elsewhere. Okay, so which of the following fun goals will your project meet? I can click on that and it can access data, whether it be user properties, that's the registration details of the applicant, the properties of the application from phase 1, the application phase, any of these bits of metadata. I can pull in answers to questions, okay, from anywhere I want, and I can pull in data from the office use only. Okay, and within each of these, you can change phase as well. So I can get the office use only in phase 2 or in phase 3, and so on. You can pull stuff in any direction. Obviously, in your own mind, you have to bear in mind, will that data have been entered before I try to pull it in? Some of you will have been familiar with this in the likes of a signature question would be the most common type of thing that people will have used this Smart Builder in. I'll go down to that. Signed on behalf of. So if I delete that, I'll show you how to get it. You want to be putting in the group name that this person is applying for a community group on behalf of a grant. Click on Smart Builder. I'm in the application phase. I want to go into application questions. And I want to pull in the group name. Okay, so signed on behalf of group name and save. That's the simplest part of the Smart Builder, and it can be used in any question whatsoever. Another thing you can do is personalize the automatic emails. So as Sarah said just now, if you go into settings, go into email templates, I will say application complete email. I'm going to edit that. And I'll save again. Thank you for submitting an application for community grant on behalf of Smart Builder, application questions, group name. Okay, so you can, again, you can put more detail into this. You might say you have applied for X amount by pulling in a table, for example. Now that's all good and well. There's not a huge deviation from what you had in version 1, but the game changer for people doing grant management, and we've onboarded a lot of people doing grant management already, is generating letters of offer and the like. So most of you who were on V1 would have accepted a grant application. You would have done your triage. You would have probably then offline done a kind of a mail merge and generated, we'll say, a contract or a letter of offer or a grant award document, whatever the case may be. Generally, that's 90% boilerplate or 95% boilerplate with some specific data piped in from the application, from the office use only section, maybe conditions, special conditions of an award or something, from the other metadata like the grant tracking amount and so on. And you can now do that all within Submit.com. And I'm going to attempt to show you how. So, okay, I've got on this community grant, I've got my application questions. Candidate fills in answers to those. This is just an alias, the project assessment report for your office use only section. So you can call it whatever you want when you're setting it up. But I've got maybe a recommended funding amount, some special conditions of funding. Okay, and I can click on any of those as well, by the way, and copy it. And I can use them directly to paste in without clicking on the magic wand. It does the same thing. So any ID belonging to a question. But remember, I'm accepting conditions of funding in the office use only section. I then maybe send, if I want to invite an applicant and make a grant offer, I'll go back to my applications. And I take Mary Smith. I go manage invite, select a phase, community grant acceptance. Now, this is just a heads up email. Her full contract will be in the acceptance phase. And this heads up email basically says, Dear Mary, auto-populated, the amount approved is 12345. That's coming from her grant tracking. I've entered a grant tracking amount here of 12345. And it is special conditions. This is what was entered into the office use only section. On her office use only section, funding is for A, S, D, and F only. So these might be whatever qualifications you want to put in. Okay. I'm jumping around a little bit, but I'm trying not to lose you on it. So you'll give her a heads up and you'll say, complete the, in order to avail of this grant with that amount, these special conditions, you need to complete the online acceptance phase.
Mhm.
Send the invitation. That's phase. So phase 2 is where they have the full contract. So instead of historically, you were probably attaching a PDF to an invitation email, asking them to download it, print it, sign it, scan it, and re-upload it to the acceptance phase. Now they get an inbound email with a heads up, and they complete an online acceptance phase. And I'll show you just somebody that has completed one here. A typical one, Mary Blogs. So this is her application phase. She was applying for funding. There was an amount entered in the grant tracking, which was 7,500 euros. To go into the acceptance phase, it pulls in the name of the group, all your boilerplate. It pulls in the amount of funding recommended and any other data. These are her project-specific requirements from the office use only section. So all you need to do then is get somebody to digitally accept that. That in this example, I've given it as a multiple choice question with a required question, one option. I accept the grant offer. Alternatively, you could put it into an authenticated signature question. I generally put all of this content, your full contract, it could be 20 pages long, into the description of a question. And it means that you have a full audit trail on your system of a digitally signed contract for every single successful applicant. Once you get your head around piping data from one phase to another and one office use only section to another within forms, from tables and so on, the sky's the limit as regards how you can use it. And we've seen some very, very innovative uses of this piece of functionality from loads of customers over the last 12 months. So if in doubt, again, reach out to support@submit.com and they'd be delighted to advise you on how to implement it. But it is a game changer if you have previously been generating contracts or letters of offer offline.
So yes, the new candidate view. So the candidate view and application management side has had a major update. Probably one of our most requested features has now been added to the platform on the new version 2. So I'm going to go to my complete applications here, and you probably got a sneak peek of it already on Neil's last screen. So I'm going to hit the view button here. So first thing I want to show you is there's this new tile view now available for each of the applications. So before they would have been in the list view, so you can see very easily, which folders this candidate is active in or added to. You can see which tags have been applied, and any of the display and preview questions you can see are available here. So similar to the previous version, you have that little overview that you can go into, but now when you view the application, you can see I can look at all of the answers the candidate has provided to me. I can actually click on the PDFs in line with the questions that have been asked. So if I want to look at all of the PDFs, everything that's been updated, all of the images, etc., that are available on an application form, I can look at them all without having to go to the attachment section. Now you can still navigate to the upload section if you need to, if you just want to look at the uploads only, but you can see here.
One thing about that upload section, Sarah, if you go back to it, What I love, particularly when you're collecting an awful lot of them, is the change it to the list view rather than the tile view there. That, you know, the little, yeah.
Oh, yes,
If you're collecting 50 receipts, it's much easier to have them in this view, I think.
definitely, definitely. So yeah, anywhere that you see this little icon, you can swap between that list or that tile view, which is really nice. So yes, I suppose you can see on the right, we have this manage attachments, or not manage attachments, manage application tab over on the right. So while you're viewing your application now, you can take all of your application actions at the same time. So you can tag an application while you're viewing it. So if you want to use manual tagging, you can see it's here. We've also added a tag history as well. So if you want to see the history of tags that have been applied or removed from specific applications, we have a little audit trail here. And adding and removing the tags is super easy. So you can see here, I can click on ineligible, and then that tag is automatically applied. And if I want to take it off, you can see I can just click on it from here. And I can also edit the tags from here as well if I want to. All of your tags that you've already created should port over from the version 1. But yes, that number one feature request is side-by-side scoring and viewing applications at the same time. So you can see this panel here. I can go to the score bars and I can actually review my application and complete the score bars at the same time. So you can even refer to a specific question or something like that as part of the score bar itself. So you can indicate to the reviewers that you want them to look at question 3, for example, and use that, you know, for the basis of their scoring. You can see as well, they can add a note very easily. So, you know, great application and save it. And you can see here as well, your average score, your average sum, etc., will all be available to you here. So you can have a look at this as you're working through them. Down here on the right as well, you can see you can access folders from here. So a lot of the same functionality that you would have had on version 1 is still available here, but it's on this panel on the right-hand side, which is great. Again, if you have the permissions to do things like edit application, convert to draft, etc., they'll all be available here. If you don't have permission to take a certain action, the button won't appear for you at all. So just keep in mind, you know, that team members that don't have specific permissions won't see the options. Again, we have our archive button here. So like I always mention, archive rather than delete if we need to get rid of something. You know, we can always bring an archive back. And I think that's everything I had planned to show on the side-by-side view. The folders as well are very similar. So the folder view for those team members as well, you can see I can go into this committee section here. Your team member or your external reviewers will have the same access. So this is kind of the view that the team, or not the team members, the external reviewers will see. So when they're accessing the platform, they can still view the application and do the side-by-side scoring, same as you will have access to.
One thing you have on folders, on the overall landing page for folders, you have more options as regards searching and filtering. If you list all of your folders there, Sarah, and
Yes.
the folders icon on the left.
Oh, sorry.
Just if you, I know some of you may have 100 folders in there, and the layout on V1 was a bit clunky. It's more ordered and with more searching and filtering options now.
Exactly. For reviewing applications as well, we've improved the search and filter as well. So you can see the filters are available here. You can take specific bulk actions as well. So previously you could add tag to current result set or add tags based on answers. We've now added an add current result set to folder as well. So if you need to bulk add all of these applications to a folder, for example, you can do so from here. So just so that you're aware, that's available here. I don't think I have anything else to cover on the applicant view right now.
Cool. So again, I'll go to my dashboard, and on the left-hand side here, go to my reporting section. All of the reports, again, that you had available previously are available in here. The navigation is a bit different, so you can explore yourself. You can't do anything wrong. But a couple of new reports we have: the growth in registrations and the growth and the growth in applications. two graphs on each. Now all of these graphs are now interactive, whereas they weren't previously. So I can go from cumulative to a breakdown. I can go from a line to a bar. I can give it for a certain period of time and so on. Okay, so that applies to every graph you see. So this is my overall dashboard. If I scroll down, I get if you have grant tracking enabled on your platform, you will have an overall grants breakdown across all of your schemes. Again, this is interactive, so I can make it for the past year, for all, make a cumulative breakdown. I can do lines or bars and so on. I can zoom and unzoom. Okay, and everything can be downloaded as a PNG. Okay, that's across all of my grant awards. Now that's your dashboard, if you like, for your grants, for your reports. I can then the real detail is under this forms tile, but I'll just touch on the other tiles first. You're probably used to using the applications tile, the users tile, and less so the last two, but I'll give you, rather than going into every section of the reporting, I'll just focus on the three on the left: forms, applications, and users. One thing about applications, again, as I always say, this is where you can get a history of an applicant across all schemes. You can generate a report. The searching and filtering is more advanced on the left. We also pull through additional information relating to individual applications. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Sarah, but I think this grant tracking.
Yeah, grant tracking wasn't available in this applications report in the previous version.
You have the audit trail for a particular application, which is every edit on that application since it was created. You also have the summary audit trail. The summary is your office use only section. There's no audit entries on that one, but if you went into one that had audit entries, you'll find any edit historically, what user, what timestamp, and what changes they made. All the filters on the left, you can filter by folder, filter to show me the applications per form. You can filter by a name across all forms or within a subset of forms, and you can put in date ranges. Okay, if I go back to my reports dashboard, and I'm going at this backwards, starting in applications, then I'll go into users. This is same as it always was, really, but you have also got an audit trail on each user. So, for example, who this person updated the email address of Aidan@example.com to Aidan99@example.com. Okay, so that's something that wasn't there previously. Any edit to a user you have an audit trail now. Again, just like in V1, all of these spreadsheets can be downloaded as CSVs, all of your tables. Right, where I want to get to really is the forms report. Again, different navigation, it does the same. So you've got if I click into my community grant phase 1, just to stick with the same form we were looking at, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tabs across the top. The overview mimics what you saw on the general reports dashboard. Application growth for this particular form, application breakdown for this particular form, the grant tracking for this particular form, and the amounts awarded and so on for this particular form. The summary, again, it's very similar to what you used to have, but there's more search and filter functionality on these reports, and it's much easier to navigate. If I want to choose what data I want to include on a spreadsheet where I have one column per piece of data and one row per application, I click on this, choose data, and I've got my 3 tabs on the top: application properties, application questions, and whatever alias I've given to my office use only section. So I'm going to make a very simple table here with first name, last name, email address, the tags that have been applied, the grant award, and I'll go to application questions, and I'll put in the group name, and I won't even bother putting in the group address.
And my new favorite feature in this section as well is the select all and deselect all button.
Yes, that's true. You could, and this again, down the line, we will have savable custom reports where you can title a report and have multiple different titles and be able to go to whichever one you want to generate at any time. But for now, you can build a report much more quickly than you used to be able to using that select all and deselect all. And in here again, I can put in my assessment. So if I generate that report on screen, I've got one row per application, one column per piece of data that I selected. Again, I can filter that by tag if I just want to see the approved grants. I could say I just want to see it for the complete ones and generate the report again and have a shorter list of people who meet that criteria. If I go back to the breakdowns now, this is the graphs and maps. Much easier to navigate again. If I go into question applications, as I am, I can go by status or over time. So this is your timeline of when applications were received. I can go into question breakdowns and any yes, no, multiple choice, multiple select question. You can generate either a pie chart or a bar chart of your answers. You can filter that based on the status. I just want to look at the complete applications. If I just want to, you have a with or without tag button here. Sorry, you have a with tag, and you can have multiple tags using an or differentiator or an and differentiator. You can select without tags, or you can combine have any combination of the above. But it's like a tongue twister, Sarah.
I know.
Again, I just say grant approved, and I might go into the advanced search to filter this graph further. And I'm going to add a question from the form. I'm going to go region, and I'll say people in Knockmore. And I can add as many questions as I want to this advanced filtering. So now I have people in Knockmore that have been approved for funding. One of them has said inclusion was one of the fund goals. One of them has said diversity was one of the fund goals. Three of them haven't answered that question. So you've got that searching and filtering gives you a lot more. And you've all these throughout the app as well. You'll see these little breadcrumbs at the top to itemize what you have selected. And these are interactive as well.
That advanced search is also available on the summary page too. So if you are running your application summary and you're looking for a specific answer to a specific, even a text-based question, you can get that from the advanced search.
Yeah, and within these breakdowns, it doesn't matter whether it's a pie chart, bar chart, a map. If I go into my group address, I have a nice range of people from Portugal to Iceland here.
Very nice.
That advanced search again is available there. I could say I want people only who are meeting the inclusion fund goal, and I want to drop it for each one of them. That's the gist of it. Like, again, with reports, once you get a feel for one section, you'll get a similar feel for another, and you can't do any harm by navigating through your report section. So it's somewhere to explore, somewhere to play around with. Have a look at the filters, have a look at the advanced search, the tagging, and I think it's just you'll find it much more powerful, much easier to navigate than the old one.
And like we mentioned as well, we have that comprehensive help center section, lots of different articles on all the different sections. There's also a chat feature in there as well if you need it.
I'll just click on that, Sarah, just very briefly, just to click, seeing as we're finished with the app. You click in there and it's into the V2 help center, Submit.com V2. You've got your chat down the bottom here. You've got all your articles here.
They're all organized by section as well. So you've got your forms, folders, teams, reports, workspace in general as well. So, and that chat feature as well, you can interact with it and ask it specific questions and it will try and give you the snippet from the article you need, plus the link to the article as well. But you can also reach out to our team live as well. We're online Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to us.
Support@submit.com.
And support@submit.com is our email address as well.
Thanks a million, Sarah, and thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you. Have a good day.